YouTube, what's going on? I'm back. Cracked open some cars, did a video, had some technical difficulties, so I'm just going to do it like this. They're all open, but we're going to take a look at some new castings. This one from Auto World. I have to say, I didn't think I would like this as much as the Kingswood. You know, the Kingswood, I don't know. I still may not, but I like it a lot more than I thought I would. I thought it was the same luggage rack, but it's definitely not. Same design, but different size. I don't know. This thing looks rad. This thing has some killer lines to it. Wheels look really good. I mean, I still love the Kingswood. Stance on these cars is so on point. That is definitely an impressive tool. Very curious to see how that square body comes out from Auto World. I kind of have an expectation for the Greenlight, but I really don't know what to expect with Auto World with the truck. That is a bitchin' wagon, though. I like it. I definitely like it more than the Squire. And I like the Squire a lot. But I think I like the Buick more. So, I don't have any of the new Greenlight wagon castings, but I have to say, even without seeing those Greenlights, I doubt they're this nice. I think Auto World has the wagon market cornered. Three really cool grocery getters. I'm glad I got that. It's a big, heavy, chunky casting. Weighs about the same amount as the other two. Alright, I got some other new stuff. Greenlight. I picked this up. I had to get this just because of this deco. That navy blue on silver. I mean, come on. That is killer. The stance on this car is not right, but it doesn't look bad. I'd rather have the wheels sitting out like this than sitting in too far. But the wheels, excuse me, really the stance is fine. It's just the wheels and tires are too big for the car. I think that's the big issue with it. But it still looks really nice. So there's that. But the real cool Greenlight stuff, I picked up the Little Blue Brie, Bobby Allison, number 85. These Brie 510s from Greenlight are pretty much amazing. I mean, they make the Hot Wheels look bad, in my opinion. Now, I know like the novice collectors won't agree with that because they don't know what a 510 actually looks like, but this looks so much better. It looks so much like more like the real thing. To me, the Hot Wheels 510 doesn't really look a lot like a 510. It's probably around 1 to 55 scale. So it has all of those things going. Then it has like the fender flares, which is not very common with 510s. Even people that customize 510s, you don't see a lot of fender flares. That's more of a Skyline thing. So I just think that the Greenlight it's just so much nicer. I mean, if the Hot Wheels is any indication, these are going to climb a lot in value. I don't necessarily see that happening though, because Greenlight has a fraction of the collectors that Hot Wheels has. But I don't know how you could collect Hot Wheels and collect their 510s and not get into these Greenlight 510s. I don't know how that's possible. I did hear a couple of Greenlight collectors complain when this tooling first came out because they're like, well, it's too small. And it's not too small. It's actually true to scale. And the only reason I know this is because having collected Tomica Limited Vintage and Konami, this is the size of a 510. They're small cars. The problem is that Hot Wheels is 1:55 scale, and everybody got used to that, and everybody thought that was the size of the car, but it's not. So Greenlight, definitely the way to go if you want to collect a nice 510. I think this thing is so nice that it competes with the TLV, and I know that could be sacrilege, but there are a lot of things about this casting that I like a lot better than the Tomica Limited Vintage 510. There are things about that I like better too, but I'm not convinced if TLV did a 510 Brock Racing that it would look this good, because they'd have to do something about the stance on it. You know, right now they have a stock stance. This thing looks so killer. Whoa. Simonize? I don't know if that's... I've always wondered. I don't know how that's pronounced. Simonese, Simonize, Simoniz. I've always kind of thought it was Simonize. But I don't know. So if you guys know, comment below. Sick looking car. By the way, the engine bay, accurate to the actual race car. The one that's more impressive is the red one, though, because the entire engine bay in that car, the actual race car, was baby blue. So Greenlight just nailed both of these. The wheels and tires look really freaking good, too. Goodyear tires. You know, for as small as they are, I just think they did a great job. This is definitely their best Japanese casting. I don't even think any of the others are really close, if I'm honest. Although I will say this one here is much better than I thought it would be. I finally got the Greenlight Hako. This is not a Hakosuka. It is the Nissan Hakosuka. Hakosuka. You can say Hakosuka, you can say Hakosuka, but it's definitely not pronounced Hakosuka. It is pretty sweet looking, though. I know the black doesn't show up great, but the wheels look great. The only thing I don't like, but I get it, is the side windows. But in order to get the B and C pillars, they almost had to do that, because otherwise you'd have to tool that in. And, you know, when you're that small and you're dealing with, you know, I don't know what they even call them, but when you're dealing with details that small, it makes it kind of difficult. So I get it. I mean, I'd prefer not to have them, but the alternative is you get an M2 car, which doesn't have them, and then you have a leaf window with no frame. And you have a rear window with no frame, which, I mean, I don't care. I don't dock M2 for that. You know, it's not a knock on the casting. I still think the M2 is a really nice casting, but I have to say I like the Greenlight better. It just looks a lot cleaner. I mean, almost all of my M2 Hakos have crooked taillights. Almost every single one has crooked taillights. And all the wheels are black, so you got to paint the wheels like I've done here. The M2 is definitely larger. but M2 runs a little bit large. They're not, hardly any of their castings are true 1:64 scale. With that said, I think on this Hakosuka, actually I don't know, because the Greenlight is closer to the size of a Konami, but I think the M2 is closer to the size of a Kyosho. So I'm not sure which one is more accurate. I would venture to say the Konami is going to be more scale accurate than the Kyosho, but I don't know for sure. Anyways, what I will say is I like this. I like the Greenlight better than the M2. I'm going to leave that there for a minute because I want to show you guys this ridiculous detail. I'm not going to be able to show you on the black one. This is so impressive. It's one of the best I've seen. All right. Here's the silver, same casting, Greenlight. Look at this engine detail. One of the best 1:64 scale engines I've ever seen. Now, I really don't care about engine detail. It's not important to me. But I know I have one subscriber who's going to love this engine detail. He knows who he is. Now, you compare that to this. This is sad. This is an exclusive Miho release too, where you would think it would have a little bit more detail. But look at your M2 and look at your Greenlight. By the way, this is not the engine detail of a 1:18 scale car. That is a 1:64 scale, extremely highly detailed. As I said, it's probably the most detailed engine that I've seen ever in a 1:64 scale car. This is more detailed than some 1:24 scale engines that I've seen. As an example, the Jada Fast and Furious Hako, the black one, this engine detail here is much more detailed than that car. That's 1:24 scale. So, anyways, I am highly impressed with these Hakosuka Skylines from Greenlight. I love the wheels. They did a much better job on the wheels than M2. The side view, the fender mounted side views have more detail. I'm not sure about the placement of the mirrors. I guess that's up for debate. I don't know if there was variance in how far down the fender they were mounted. I'm not sure which one of these is more accurate, but they're further towards the front on the M2. The stance on the car, say what you will about whether it's right or wrong. It's probably good, other than the fact that it's probably sitting a little bit high. But when you compare this to the stance on the M2, I think it's as good or better. M2 does have the standard one, which is what you see here. And then they have a lowered base, which is what you see here, which has the lowered base has a lot of rake. The back end, the ass sits up a little bit higher. So, I don't know. On a scale of 1 to 10, I give the M2 a 6 or a 7. I give the Greenlight a 7 or an 8. So it's not a massive difference, but I would put the Greenlight just a smidgen higher. The taillight detail is a lot nicer on the Greenlight. Now keep in mind these are transparent lens inserts, which you don't get with the M2. The M2 Hakos are all painted detail. There is no lens detail. On the M2 510, you get lens taillights, but not headlights. Same thing with the 240. So that is a pretty rad little car in my opinion. I'm definitely happy to have picked these up. These Hakos are going to be coming out with some really cool decos. This is probably a tooling that I will be scooping up as much as I can. And the 510 is probably going to be the same, although with the 510, they've already released it so many times that I'm just not going to collect all of them. Plus, I've seen some Bishop exclusives and some Indonesian exclusives, which are going to be very expensive to get. So I'll just focus on the Brock Racing decos, some of the other really cool, unique decos, and then the civilian models. And same thing with the Hako. Civilian models, and then any of the racing decos that they put out that I like. Greenlight is just destroying it right now. What they're doing right now in this hobby it's very impressive. I just hope it's not one of those things that can come up and bite them in the ass later. Because, you know, I want them to be around making cars for a long time. I don't want them to overextend right now and spend all this money and then be out of business in 10 years because, you know, because they overspent. But by far my favorite brand to collect. Love Greenlight. Now, if anybody from Greenlight is watching, thank you for getting the Nissan licensing, and also thank you for being aggressive and getting all the licensing you guys have gotten. You guys have been killing it, but when you get your next tooling license, how about some vintage European stuff? How about a Porsche license or MG or Jaguar or something like that? By the way, some breaking news in diecast today. Now, we've had some breaking news when Auto World announced that they were going to do a square body. A week later, Greenlight announced that they were going to do a square body. This news may not be quite that big, but this is still really big news. Tomica Limited Vintage announced that they are going to be doing a Ferrari F40, as well as a Ferrari 512BB and a Ferrari 512 TR. So, put me down for one of each, because those cars are going to be, if you are able to get one at the initial cost, you're going to double or triple your money the second you take possession of it. Those cars are going to be $100 cars the second they go on the secondary market. So I'm very excited about that. I'm going to have to get one of each color of each of the three. So 2, 4, 6 at 25. So I need, and they're Ferrari, so they might carry a premium. So I'm going to have to budget a couple $100 for that. And I'm not going to want to miss on that one. All right, everyone. Thank you for checking out the video. Hope you all have a great weekend. And hopefully I'll be back later with some more diecast. I'll talk to you all later on.